Hi everybody, I'm Meg from RawMagik. Today we're going to make kale chips. These are my absolute favorite raw food snack. I tend to have more of a salt food craving versus a chocolate, so I like to keep these on hand in the house all the time for those times when I really want something good and salty. They're really simple to make. All you need is a high-speed blender, and you're going to need a dehydrator, and I'll show you why the 9 tray with the timer is the best buy for your money later, specifically because of this recipe. All you need to make this is 2 bunches of kale. I tend to buy them locally from a co-op through the summer, but in the winter time I shop at Whole Foods. I'm lucky enough to have a Whole Foods in town. And it's important to buy organic so that you're not eating all the pesticides and fungicides and things that the regular produce are being sprayed with. So it's very important. It's very simple. All you have to do, I've done this already to save time on the recording, is you want to de-stem the bunches of kale. And what I mean by that is you just want to pull off the leaves. We don't use the stems. They taste quite bitter, and we want this to be like a crunchy chip. So for the dressing, it makes about 2 bowls of kale pieces. For the dressing, I'll list all of the ingredients underneath the recording as well, so if you don't catch it here, don't worry, you don't have to run and write it down. You'll get it in a minute. All you need is a 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds, and I'm just going to pull from my ingredients over here. A 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds. Now, I don't soak mine. Some people do. All of my heavier, denser nuts for other recipes like crackers and breads, I soak them all. Cashews, very important. Almonds, very important, because nuts have a barrier for their own protection in nature so that they can continue to thrive. And if you don't soak them and break down that barrier, it's very hard to digest. Sunflower seeds, most seeds are a little bit different, and for this recipe, I prefer a dry seed versus a wet. It changes the consistency of the dressing. So a 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds, and I just put everything right into the Vitamix. After that, in this bowl, I have 3 teaspoons of tamari. I use Bragg's because it has no wheat in it, so I prefer the amino acids from the liquid Bragg's. 1 clove of garlic minced up, and 1/4 cup of fresh lemon juice. And I just buy a bag of organic lemons, and I just use one of the small lemons, take the seeds out and use the juice. That's about 1/4 cup. So we're just going to put that in there. Next is 2 full tablespoons of paprika. I like the real smoky flavor of paprika in this dressing, and I also add a little pinch of cayenne. And cayenne is fantastic for your digestion. And I'm someone who has a lot of trouble with digestion, so even for a sensitive person, just a tiny little pinch that's going to cover 2 bunches will be enough to still help stimulate the digestion. So we pour those in. Next is 3/4 cup of water, nice, fresh, good spring water or distilled water. 3/4 cup of olive oil. Now what I like to do is I use a raw olive oil that I really like. It's light, it's organic, and it tastes fantastic in your recipes. You can also cut this in half. You can do 3/4 cup full olive oil with the 3/4 cup water, or you can mix half olive oil, half flax oil if you prefer something lighter, if you're sensitive to olive oil and the density of olive oil. So I'll just pour 3/4 cup here. We've listed on the website too some really good online stores with good pricing where you can pick up some of these products because you can't find them at your regular grocery stores. One day, I'm hopeful. Okay, so in goes the olive oil. And the last thing that I really like to use is raw tahini. Now there are tahini spreads out there, but I like the raw. You can make your own. It's just from sesame seed. It's a sesame seed paste. Artisana makes a really good product of raw, and I use it a lot. My major salad dressing is just a tablespoon or 2 of raw tahini, some fresh lemon juice, some fresh sea salt, and some fresh water. Mix it together, and it makes a fantastic salad dressing. So I'm going to put in about two good tablespoons here of raw tahini, and then we blend it up. Okay. Now, the reason I'm wearing the apron that I am isn't to try and impress you and be a chef in my kitchen, but it's because there is the olive oil in this recipe. And I've done this before where you're mixing it up with the kale and you get a little bit on you and the olive oil tends to stain your clothes. So I like to just cover up at this point. So we're going to blend this up for just a second. Okay, that's it. That's why I love my Vitamix. It will take any raw seed, it will take even flax, it will make soups, and it just pulverizes them in seconds. So you will see if you use the raw olive oil that this gets a really nice, rich, thick quality, and you'll see when I pour. So the next step you want to do is you just want to pour a bunch over the top of each. And then one of my ultimate favorite things about raw foods and raw food recipes is you can get your hands in there. I like to get my hands in and mix everything together so that you really are feeling like you're part of what you're about to eat. Not only are the nutrients good for you, but the experience of getting your hands in with your food, playing, enjoying, it's all part of it. The energy that you put into what you're making really shows later. So, simplest way to mix these up is you just take it from the bottom and you fold it over and you just play. And you want to make sure that the dressing covers as much of the leaves, really massage it in. You'll see it, it'll start to wilt a little bit for you, and it's just fun. So you mix it all together like this. And if I'm doing this where it's not being recorded live, I'll go a little bit slower. And I'll check most of the leaves through to make sure I've got a nice, you don't want something like this. You don't want one leaf where it's just covered in sauce and another one where there isn't a lot on the inside. You just want to mix them together a little. And you can smell the dressing. At this point, I won't do it because you're watching, but at this point, this is usually where I can't help myself and I start to eat the kale. Because this, just raw alone with the dressing on it, is fantastically good for you. And it tastes great. There's lots of kale recipes out there. Some people prefer just to use the liquid brags and some garlic salt or garlic powder. You can do barbecue, you can do all kinds of different recipes, but this one, I haven't found one that beats this one. This just has every flavor that I love and it tastes fantastic. Okay, we are about ready. Now I'm going to rinse my hands quickly and I'm going to show you the dehydrator and why you want the 9 tray. It's a little bit more money. A lot of people tend to go for the 5 tray because of that, or space in their kitchen. One thing I want to warn you with is when you go with the 5 tray, it becomes difficult for recipes like this. You're going to do, this makes 2 really big Tupperware containers of kale chips. If you use the 5 tray dehydrator, you kind of have to make this only a half at a time because you need to double space. And this is what I mean. I've got the dehydrator already set up. So if you look, that's 9 tray. It's going to take 4 trays to do these kale chips. If you had the 5 tray and double spaced, you'd only be able to use 2 trays, more than likely. So you grab a good handful here. You want to space it out enough that you can see a little bit of the Paraflex sheet underneath. And that's the other thing when you're purchasing your dehydrator. You really want to get at least 4 or 5 Paraflex sheets because you use them for a lot of recipes. Cookies, crackers, flatbreads, all of these types of recipes. And that's about as much as you're going to get on your tray. You can see that right there. And that will make about 4 trays. They will shrink down when they're in the dehydrator. You want to put them in at 115, and I set my timer, which is the best feature from the Excalibur. I recommend no other dehydrator other than the Excalibur. The 9 tray with the timer, you can set it and walk away. It's great. You don't have to remember to come back and turn it off. So 4 trays, about that much on them. I do mine for 17 to 20 hours, sometimes 24, depending. You get a bigger yield or a smaller yield. These were really hardy bunches of kale, so I'm gonna let these run for about 24 hours and try them when they come out and they're warm. They're fantastic. I bet you will not be able to eat, keep them without eating a whole tray full. So enjoy, I hope you like them. Write us, let us know if you try the recipe. Thanks, see you next time.